Hello friends, very good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Whether
sir.
music is disturbing you or encouraging you? Whether
सर
music is
म्यूजिक की
audible?
आवाज ही नहीं आ रहा है।
Music का आवाज नहीं आ रहा है. Okay, no problem. That's going on at my other computer, but anyways. Okay. Okay, all right. My dear students, very good morning. Today we'll see one of the topic of database transaction that we already started as concurrency control mechanism and its protocols. So far, we have covered two protocols, log-based protocol and then two-phase locking protocol. We have seen there are certain challenges in case of log-based protocol as well as two-phase locking protocol. And whatever discussion we made about the challenges that we faced is regarding deadlock and starvation. So in between, we have seen various schemes related to deadlock and its prevention, its detection, as well as its recovery. Now we have to focus on the two remaining part, that is timestamp based protocol and validation based protocol. I am Mahesh Sangvi, working as Department Professor and Head Department of Computer Engineering, SNJB's LETSO, KBJN College of Engineering, Chennai. So let's look at our today's agenda. Our today's agenda is I'll take review of last session that we have taken. Then we'll focus on timestamp based protocols. Then we'll focus on validation based protocol. Finally, there will be a last scheme, multi-version scheme, and we'll end up with what this. So in last session, I hope you all remember regarding multiple granularity, and we have seen the scheme of granularity. Multiple granularity represented graphically as tree in the form of tree. And you can observe this that shows I have already told you about two types of granularity, and we have seen the discussion on that. One of you have asked me the question about re-explain multiple granularity. So I have already explained that, but you need to understand there are basically two types of granularity, fine granularity and coarse granularity. Fine granularity is telling you that it will be a bottom-up approach where lower tree will be in picture. In case of coarse granularity, it will be from top to down, means it will be top-down approach and it where higher in what tree. So you can observe here regarding fine granularity, high concurrency will be there and high locking overhead will be there. In case of coarse granularity, low concurrency will be there and naturally there will be low locking overhead. Then we have seen one of the example where we have database, okay, as a root node. Then we have seen there are A1 and A2 as area. In area, again, there are subnodes or subtrees, that is file, that is FA and FB, and in file we have records. So that may be RA1 to RAN and RB1 to RBK. So this way we will understand that when we go with what top to bottom approach, normally we use coarse granularity, and when we go from bottom to top, that indicates we are going for fine granularity. Now, the next point that we have to discuss today is intention lock mode. Intention lock modes are telling you that there are basically certain lock modes that we need to focus. The way we have seen two types of lock modes, I hope you all remember the two types of lock modes where I have discussed about the point that we were having two types of lock, shared mode and exclusive mode, that is S and X. Okay, and now there are three more types. Okay, that is intention shared, that is IS, intention exclusive, that is IX, and combination of both, that is shared and intention exclusive lock mode, that is SIX. So intention shared is denoted by IS, intention exclusive is denoted by IX, and shared and intention exclusive is denoted by SIX. Now we need to understand the meaning of this. It indicates that it explicitly locking at lower level of the tree, but only with shared lock. So you can lock the lower level of the tree by using IS, but it will be in shared lock mode only. So other trees can able to read the data item, but cannot able to perform write operation. In case of IX, that is intention exclusive, it indicates that You can explicitly locking at lower level with exclusive or shared locks. So once you have locked using IX, other trees cannot able to either read or write. So that is the beauty of IX. And normally it is used while updating the lower data items. Finally, the combination of both, that is the subtree rooted by that node, is locked explicitly in shared mode, and explicit locking is being done at lower level with exclusive mode lock. So here exclusive mode lock, okay, where we can use either the combination of shared or intention exclusive lock. Now, if you observe here, intention lock. Yes, Karishma, do you have any problem? Karishma, do you have any problem? Okay. So regarding this mode, you can understand very well that here this says that when we are talking about this, yeah, intention lock mode and shared mode that you need to understand. So there will be total 5 types of locking mode. One will be shared, another one will be exclusive, and then these 3 types of intention lock modes. That is IS, IX, and SIX. So the way we have seen the compatibility matrix for S and X mode, we also have compatibility matrix for all these kind of lock modes. So you can observe here, there is IS, that is intention shared, intention exclusive, shared, combination of shared and exclusive intention, and finally there will be exclusive mode. Now you can observe this matrix having what same thing which is available on this row side also. Now you can see that when we are talking about when we are locking using IS mode, so everything will be true except X. So once you are locked using exclusive mode, in that case, IS is not allowed. Okay, but if you lock it using IS, IX, S, or SIX, then it is permitted. Okay, so once the data item is locked using IS, IX, S, and SIX is permitted. So that's the beauty. When you are using IX mode, then IS and IX is allowed. So you might have seen in explanation of IX itself, it is allowing shared as well as exclusive mode, but rest all are false, means shared, exclusive, and combination of SIX will not be allowed. Same in case of S, we have seen that S is allowed for shared mode, allowed for sharing also, okay, but it is not allowed other than IS and S mode. Same SIX is there, it is only allowed if you have locked any data item using SIX mode. It is allowing you to lock that data, same data item by using different transaction, okay, for IS mode. So it is allowed. Rest everywhere it is false. When I'm talking about exclusive mode, it is as good as it is saying that once you have locked data item using exclusive mode, no one else can able to lock it. So that's the beauty. And you can observe here, these are the types of modes, and it is compatibility matrix that we need to understand. Okay, so let's move towards the next type of protocol, that is timestamp based protocols. Now timestamp based protocol indicates time and stamp, means we need to think about the time as one of the factors. Okay, this protocol is based on timestamp, so we need to stamp each and every activity by using certain time. So you can understand that it is related to time factor. Each transaction TI is used a timestamp when it enters the system. When any particular transaction is entering into a system, some timestamp is given to it. I hope my voice is clear to you and music is not disturbing you. Is it fine, dear
Yes, sir.
student? Really? Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I'm repeating the definition of timestamp. You need to understand each transaction TI is issued a timestamp when it enters into the system. यानी जब भी कोई ट्रांजेक्शन आएगा, मान लीजिए T1 आया, उसको टाइम स्टैम्प दिया जाएगा, T2 आया, उसको टाइम स्टैम्प दिया जाएगा, T3 आया, उसको टाइम स्टैम्प दिया जाएगा, so that we will understand which are the newer transactions and which are the older transactions by using that timestamp. Now you do understand here, transaction, old transaction TI has timestamp TS of TI, and new transaction will be having what? The timestamp like this. And here you can understand that directly it will be based on how we can say that it is old or it is new. It is based on what type of time it is given. For example, some of the students have joined this particular meeting quite before. At one girl have marked her attendance at 10:26. I have not shared the attendance link yet, but she has already marked because you have that link with you. Okay, I cannot consider such type of attendance because timestamp with that. If you are observing that I have already taken timestamp from Google Form, and that timestamp is already what marked with each and every attendance. So you should understand here, you need to understand here who is coming on what time or who is entering data on what time is entirely recorded by using this timestamp. So here you will be acting as a transaction for me. So that way you can understand this kind of real life examples because we are using it heavily in day-to-day activity. So now you can understand here, if the TI is older and TJ is new, that indicates that the timestamp of TJ should be greater than of what? The timestamp of TI. Or you can write it like this, timestamp of, here it should be TS, timestamp of TI should be less than of what? Timestamp of TJ. So here it should be what? It should be T. Okay, so now you can understand the beauty. Okay, and that indicates that which are the older timestamp and which are the newer timestamp. Okay, so this indicates everything. The protocol manages concurrent execution such that timestamps determines the serializability order. So naturally it will give you what serializability, who is coming first will be served first. Okay, and that is what serial transaction is telling you. Okay, so serializability, maintaining serializability will do the easy job just by observing timestamp of each and every transaction. Now you need to understand the timestamp protocol. Here it is saying that timestamp protocol maintains the queue timestamp values. Queue means what? It is data item. Okay, we can able to maintain the value of data item. Okay, by adding what? Two types of timestamp to it. If you are working on queue in write mode, then write timestamp will be given to it, as well as if you are just working for read, then read timestamp will also be given. So here you can understand when data item Q is written or updated, that timestamp will be there. And when it was read, that particular timestamp will be there. And we can identify whether we are reading the new value or the old value by observing that timestamp. Largest timestamp of any transaction that is executed write queue successfully will tell us this W timestamp queue. And naturally, the largest timestamp of any transaction that is executed read queue successfully will have a write R timestamp. So W timestamp and R timestamp are normally associated with write and read instruction. Next, you can observe here, there are basically any instruction which is conflicting, that is read and write operations are executed in timestamp order. Now you can understand we were having challenge of what? Conflicting operations. Okay, but when we have date and time, when we have time associated with each and every instruction, it will be very easy to solve this. So here you can observe transaction TI, okay, having issues read queue and write queue. You can observe how this particular instructions will be executed. So we need to focus on this condition. If TS of TI is less than W timestamp of Q, okay, means timestamp of TI, transaction TI, if it is less than or equal to write timestamp of Q, then TI needs to read a value of Q that was already overridden. तो ये आपको क्या बताएगा कि ये जो भी TI है, ओके, वो क्या करेगा, जो अपडेटेड वैल्यू है उसी को क्या करेगा, रीड करेगा. So that is important. If TS of TI is greater than or equal to, means reverse of this, okay, of this timestamp, then, or I can say else, read operation is what? Executed. So which operation will be executed, whether write or read, or what type of read, whether it will be before write or after write, that will be decided by using this condition. And this condition is very simple. It is saying that if write operation is performed, okay, if it is greater, then we have to read the older value. If write operation is performed before, then we need to read what? Updated value of write operation that we perform on data item Q. Next is when to perform write Q operation. Read Q, condition is this. Write Q, this is the condition. If TS of TI is less than, conditions are almost same. Okay, here only equal to sign is now not there. Okay, so if TS is of TI is less than R timestamp, then the value of Q that TI is producing was needed previously. System assumed values. Okay, so this indicates that we can able to read that particular values, which is actually what updated. So this way we can able to identify. Else else we need to focus here on W timestamp. If TS of TI is less than W timestamp, then we need to think about what? Then the TI is attempting to write an absolute value of what? Q. So these are the two conditions, friends. This is important. This is actually the definition of what timestamp based protocol. If any question based on timestamp protocol, you can observe it on what your university examination, and in that it is mentioned you have to what? Write down this. So this is what the important slide that you need to focus. And this slide is only saying when to perform read operation and when to perform write operation, that you need to what? That you need to perform. Yes, Shubham Bube, do you have any doubt? Because you have raised your hand. If you have,
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you please tell me your doubt?
Sir, in read queue, if TS is of TI is less than equal to W10, right? There will be the R चाहिए था sir वहाँ पे.
Sorry?
Sir, TS of TI is less than equal to first condition, sir.
Okay.
वहाँ पे W आया ना, मतलब रीड ऑपरेशन, राइट ऑपरेशन आया, तो वहाँ पे रीड ऑपरेशन चाहिए था ना.
This should be R, right?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. I'll just modify it again. Very good. I'm happy that some of you are really concentrating. Good. Okay. Now I'll again tell you this particular part. Okay. I hope it is right now, right? So all dear students, you need to focus on the conditions only. If TS of TI is less than or equal to R timestamp, same conditions are here, then TI needs to read a value Q that was already written. Okay, so here my concern is that you need to only focus on what the conditions and what it is written. Accordingly, we can able to perform this timestamp. Okay, in simple language, I can tell you that what is the use of all this particular condition. We need to think about the read and write conflict. Okay, and what read and write conflict is telling us, only we need to focus on that particular part. Okay, read and write conflict. Okay, what it says normally, read says that when we are reading any value of data item Q, it is expected that it should read the current value. Okay, current value means what? Which is actually there. Now there may be possibility before read there was some write operation performed on Q. Okay, it is indicating that you are updating the value of Q. Okay, and it is expected that suppose if there is write operation first on Q and if there is read operation on Q, okay, this may happen that this operation is of T1, okay, and this operation is of T2. I can say that it is conflicting instruction. Why? Because here W is writing some value, updated value, and R should what? Read this updated value written by transaction T1. Okay, if you swap this, means what? If let's say you have not taken care of what this conflict operation, what will happen? Here T1 and T2 will be there. Okay, and you will perform read first. You have simply swapped the instruction. Okay, and then W key. Then this will be wrong. This will be wrong. Why it will be wrong? Because here our read queue will read the older value. Okay, it was expected that the actual meaning was that read queue should read the updated value of T1. Okay, so this we need to focus. This is normally known as what? Conflicting instruction. And this conflicting instruction is here. Now you can focus how it is taken care of on this particular conditions. Focus here properly, you can understand. Suppose I'm talking about this operation, TS of TI. TS of TI is this. Let's say this is T1. Okay, is less than or equal to, read timestamp means what, this time it is coming later on. So this will be greater. When this value will be greater, it indicates that then TI needs to read the value of Q that was already overwritten. यानी क्या, उसने T1 ने जो वैल्यू को राइट किया है उसी वैल्यू को उसने क्या करना चाहिए, रीड करना चाहिए. This you need to understand. So just by observing this steps, you can observe when to read what and when we can able to swap the instructions. So the way we have already taken care of this complete instruction, you need not to focus on that way, but you can able to use this timestamp to manage this. I hope it is clear. Okay, I'll take the last type of protocol, that is validation based protocol. Now validation based protocol, read and execution phase, transaction PI writes only to temporary variables. So whenever write operation will be performed, it will be performed on temporary variables. It will not be performed directly on the database values or the data items. Okay, so that you need to focus. Okay, now what will happen when we do this? Execution of transaction PI done in 3 phases. Very first phase, here you need to focus about validation protocol, execution of transaction PI, okay, done in 3 phases. One of the phases read and execution phase. Then the next phase will be validation phase. Once read and execution is done, then validation phase will work out on what? Transaction PI performs a validation test to determine if the local variable can be written without violating serializability. So our first step was telling us, okay, read and execution phase means what? Transaction PI writes only into temporary local variables. It will not directly writing on what data item. Okay. Then second phase will be what? When to write that particular value on actual data item, that after validation test. So what validation test will be there? It will simply determine if the local variables can be written without violating serializability. ये सारा जो भी चल रहा है, सारे protocols जो भी है, that is mainly to ensure serializability. ओके यानी क्या, जो भी नॉन सीरियल ट्रांजेक्शन रहेंगे वो सीरियल ट्रांजेक्शन जैसे ही हमें इफेक्ट देंगे, लेकिन कॉन्करेंट वे से हमें उसको क्या करते आना चाहिए, एग्जीक्यूट करते आना चाहिए. सो वैलिडेशन फेज विल बी दिस विल बी सेकंड फेज. नाउ द थर्ड फेज, once everything is done, okay, once everything is done, then write phase will be there. If PI is validated, once this answer of validation phase is yes, then the updates are applied to database. Otherwise PI will be what? Roll back. यानी क्या, तभी जाके ये थर्ड फेज जो रहेगा, राइट फेज, ये तभी आएगा. सो वेरी फर्स्ट फेज वाज दैट. क्या था फर्स्ट फेज? जस्ट रिकॉल दैट फर्स्ट फेज सो दैट यू विल अंडरस्टैंड. फर्स्ट फेज इज रीड एंड एग्जीक्यूशन फेज, सेकंड फेज विल बी validation phase, and the third phase will be write phase. Okay, so these 3 phases concurrently executing transactions can be interleaved, but each transaction must go through 3 phases, okay, in a specified order. So सबसे पहले आप लोगों को read and execute, then validation phase, and then write phase. I hope, dear students, this is quite straightforward protocol. It is only ensuring whether the given protocol, okay, is maintaining serializability or not. Now the last point of today's discussion is multi-version schemes. Okay, this multi-version scheme is telling you that there will be old version of data item which will increase concurrency. Okay, now multi-version indicates that we need to use multiple, whatever data items we have seen, whatever protocols we have seen, we can able to use combination of that protocol, and we can use any of the hybrid approach, because every protocol has its own limitations and its own advantage. By combining 2 or more schemes, we may get what? The advantage of all, and we can able to identify the issues that was there with what? The older one. Now you can see the multi-version scheme is multi-version timestamp ordering as well as multi-version 2-phase locking protocol. Okay, so we can use either multi-version timestamp ordering or multi-version 2-phase locking protocol. We need to understand what is this. This is indicating that timestamp that you use, okay, to label the versions. यानी क्या आपके पास बहुत सारे versions, there may be possibility of what rollback. In that case, entirely timestamp will be what change, and the new value of timestamp will be given. So you need to understand here, when a read queue operation is issued, select an appropriate version of queue based on the timestamp of the transaction and return the value of selected version. You must be aware that when we are writing on concurrent way, there may be possibility that the problem of cache coherency will be there. Now, this cache coherency, it means that suppose two transactions are updating the same value at a time. In that case, there may be challenge, which is the most updated value. So to sort out that, we need to focus on what timestamp. If the timestamp of the value is greater, we can consider that value as a newer value, or we can consider it as one of the recent version of that particular value. Reads never have to wait, as an appropriate version is written immediately. Why read need not to wait? Because operation is very simple. जो भी जब भी करना है तब सिंपल क्या करना होगा, शेयर्ड मोड में सभी के लिए वो अलाउड है, क्योंकि मॉडिफिकेशंस वहां पर कुछ भी नहीं हो रहे हैं. So that you need to focus. Okay, now this ordering is important. Each data item queue has, okay, each data item queue has a sequence of versions, q1, q2, qm. Now you will tell me that why to maintain the versions, because there may be possibility of what, rollback. आप commit नहीं करोगे, उसके पहले rollback हो सकता है. So there is need to maintain the versions of data item like q from q1 to qm, that depends on the concurrency, okay, mechanism of your transaction. Each version qk contains, okay, the content like the value of version qk, write timestamp of qk, as well as read timestamp of what, qk. यानी कब उसको write timestamp दिया गया है और कब read timestamp दिया गया है, ये सारे वो क्या करके रखेगा, मेंटेन करके रखेगा. तो पहले जो वर्जन था टाइम स्टैम्प, उसमें सिर्फ और सिर्फ एक ही डेटा आइटम के ऊपर हम लोग काम कर रहे थे. नाउ मल्टी वर्जन टाइम स्टैम्प ऑर्डरिंग इज टेलिंग यू दैट multiple times, if there are transactions, multiple transactions accessing one data item, okay, it will maintain each and every version by storing its if its w timestamp as well as its write timestamp of that particular data item, that is qk, that we are considering here. Now you can observe here, when transaction ti creates a new version qk of q, qk's w timestamp and r timestamp are initialized to ts of ti. Naturally वो उसको क्या किया जाएगा, असाइन किया जाएगा. R timestamp of qk is updated whenever a transaction tj reads qk, and ts of tj is greater than राइट टाइम स्टैम्प ऑफ व्हाट, qk. यानी क्या, ओल्डर रीड जो है उसके ऊपर नया रीड जो भी है उसका वैल्यू क्या किया जाएगा, अपडेट किया जाएगा. ओके, सो ट्रांजैक्शन टी इश्यूज रीड क्यू और राइट क्यू ऑपरेशंस. ओके, qk denotes the version of q whose right stamp is largest than what the right stamp of less than or equal to that ts of ti. So this will give you the versions and its series, which will indicates that which is older and which is newer. Okay, so now this particular part will again tell you that if transaction ti, okay, if transaction ti issues read q, then the value written is content of version qk. Okay, qk का क्या करेगा, वैल्यू जो भी हो क्या हो जाएगा, वहां पर रीड हो जाएगा, क्योंकि ये मोस्ट रिसेंट वैल्यू है. ओके, इफ ट्रांजैक्शन ti issues राइट क्यू यदि आएगा तो आपको क्या क्या करना पड़ेगा, देन if ts of ti is less than its right timestamp qk, then transaction ti is rolled back. यहाँ पर ts of ti, okay, उसका जो भी वैल्यू है वो यदि लेस देन रहेगा रीड टाइम स्टैम्प से, तो नेचुरली राइट ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म करते आएगा क्या, नहीं करते आएगा, वी नीड टू रोल बैक. If ts of ti is equal to right timestamp of qk, the content qk are overwritten. यानी क्या, दोनों का सेम ही है, आप डायरेक्टली उसके ऊपर क्या कर सकोगे, लिख पाओगे, और नया वर्जन ऑफ q जो भी है वो क्या होगा, क्रिएट होगा. So you may create qk plus 1. So this way you can able to perform this. Now that was related to multi-version scheme for टाइम स्टैम्प नाउ मल्टीवर्जन स्कीम फॉर व्हाट टू फेज लॉकिंग प्रोटोकॉल. अभी तक ये एग्जामिनेशन में कभी पूछा नहीं गया है, बट देयर मे बी चांसेस एंड दैट इज द रीजन आई एम एक्सप्लेनिंग यू. रीड ओनली ट्रांजेक्शंस विल बी देयर एंड अपडेट ट्रांजेक्शंस विल बी देयर. ओके, हम लोगों ने ये ऑलरेडी टू फेज लॉकिंग प्रोटोकॉल में देखा हुआ है. What will happen, differentiate between these two. Update transaction acquire read and write locks, whereas read only transaction only required shared mode lock. Okay, so what is the difference? How we can able to differentiate this? A timestamp by reading the concurrent values of TS counter before they start execution. आपको क्या करना चाहिए? किसने most updated read किया हुआ है वो आपने देखना चाहिए. They follow the multi-version timestamp ordering protocol for performing reads. तो यहाँ पर ये रीड परफॉर्म करने के लिए, भले ही मैं टू फेज लॉकिंग प्रोटोकॉल की बात कर रहा हूँ, यहाँ पे हम लोगों को क्या करते आना चाहिए, उसका जो भी टाइम स्टैम्प का यूज यहाँ पे करना चाहिए. सो दिस इज अल्टीमेटली व्हाट one of the hybrid scheme which is using timestamp as well as two phase locking. When I'm talking about read and write locks, holds all locks up to the end of transaction. जब तक ट्रांजेक्शन पूरा नहीं होता तब तक होल्ड करना है. ये हम लोगों ने टू फेज लॉकिंग प्रोटोकॉल में देखा था. Each successful results in the creation of new version of the data items written naturally, and timestamp whose value is obtained from what counter TS, that is counter. Now you need to understand कि ये timestamp कैसे आएगा. Timestamp दो तरीके से आता है दोस्तों. एक तो आपका जो क्लॉक रहेगा उससे डायरेक्टली आएगा, या फिर एक काउंटर असाइन किया जाएगा, उस काउंटर के थ्रू भी ये आ सकता है. So this you need to work out. Okay, now the last part of this multi-version two-phase locking, where you need to think about what when update transaction wants to read data items, it obtains shared lock on it and reads the latest version. This is always for the read operation, and for the write operation wants to write any of the data item, then we need to lock it on X. It creates new version of data item immediately and sets this new version of timestamp to what? Infinity. So this way you can able to understand the use of this multi-version protocol. Okay, I hope dear students this multi-version protocol will be clear to you. You need to read it once again. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, but before that, let me complete this last slide and then I'll share the attendance link with you all. Okay, when we perform any sort of updates, okay, what will happen here? It completes commit processing naturally. Unless there is commit, we cannot say that it is newer version or new updated value is written on what the data item. So that we need to focus. Okay, and here TI sets the timestamp on the version it has created to TS counter plus 1. If you are using counter, in that case the value will be incremented. But if you are using timestamp of what, let's say clock, then that particular time will be taken from your clock and that will be given to means system date, system time will be what? Stamped there. So there will be two ways, either by incrementing the value of counter or by simply stamping that particular time which is current one. So that you need to focus. ओके, सो डियर स्टूडेंट्स, यहाँ पर एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल मैं आप लोगों को देना चाहूंगा. ओके, यहाँ पर आप देखिए, ये आपका यहाँ पर अटेंडेंस है. ओके, एंड दिस इज व्हाट एन एग्जांपल ऑफ टाइम स्टैम्प. आप देखिए यहाँ पर गावित प्रतीक्षा ने 10:10:42 को उसका अटेंडेंस लगाया था. ओके, 10:42 को उसका अटेंडेंस लगाया था. उसके बाद छोके राजेश ने उसका अटेंडेंस 10:42 और आगे 25 मिली सेकंड पे वो अटेंडेंस जो भी वो लगाए. तो यहाँ पर 25 सेकंड पे वो अटेंडेंस लगाया था. तो यहाँ पे आप लोगों को समझ में आएगा दोस्तों कि किसने पहले अटेंडेंस लगाया है, किसने लास्ट अटेंडेंस लगाया है. कुछ लोगों ने तो क्या किया है, लेक्चर होने के बाद अटेंडेंस लगाया, कुछ लोगों ने रात को 8 बजे अटेंडेंस लगाया है. इन सभी के जो भी टाइम स्टैम्प है, इसकी वजह से क्लैरिटी आता है कि हु इज कमिंग व्हेन. ओके, एंड वी कैन एबल टू वी हैव दिस पर्टिकुलर ऑल डिजिटल फुटेजेस, एंड दिस डिजिटल फुटेजेस यहाँ पे जो काउंटर यूज किया जा रहा है, दिस पर्टिकुलर काउंटर मींस ये वाला काउंटर, यदि आप लोग प्रॉपर्ली फोकस करो, ओके, दिस काउंटर इज टेलिंग यू दैट यहाँ पे हम लोग टाइम स्टैम्प का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं, यानी घड़ी, वॉच जो है, ओके, जो भी क्लॉक है वहां से हम लोग यूज कर रहे हैं. यदि हम लोग इसको इंक्रीमेंटल फैशन में लेते, यानी क्या, जो पहले आ रहा है उसको हम लोग क्या करते थे, जो फर्स्ट आएगा उसको 1 देते थे, जो सेकंड आएगा उसको हम लोग यदि सेकंड देते थे, मींस सपोज दिस इज कमिंग फर्स्ट, इसको 1 बोल दिया, इसको 2 बोला, इसको 3 बोला, इसको 4 बोला. सो दिस इज अल्टीमेटली व्हाट इट इज, काउंटर. ओके, तो काउंटर आप एक से क्या करते जाओगे, इंक्रीमेंट करते जाओगे. तो ये आपको समझना जरूरी है. टाइम स्टैम्प ये काउंटर के तहत भी लिया जा सकता है या फिर सिस्टम क्लॉक के थ्रू भी लिया जा सकता है. So this is all from my end. Okay, और यहाँ पर आपके जितने भी protocols है ये क्या होते हैं, complete होते हैं from this particular session. Okay, if you have doubt you can please ask. Okay, I'm sharing the attendance link with you all. So I'm sharing the attendance link with you all on chat window. Please mark your attendance. Those who are on YouTube, I have shared the link with you all. So today I can see that 100 students are there and 25 students are here. So actually there are only 125 students. Let's look at how many of you, okay, 26. How many of you are actually got marking attendance? And those who have doubts, you can ask. Dear students, if you have doubt, you can ask it on chat window. Special mentioning today. Yesterday, you might have seen one of the video created by what the group of third year students. I'm really happy. Okay, a wonderful message that they have given on this Dashera. Okay, as well as they have also narrated about what the Navratri. Okay, I once again wish you all a very happy Dashera, a very happy Vijayadashmi. I'm really happy that many of you are actually submitting the assignments of fast learner. Some of you have also submitted the assignment of slow learner, as well as many of you have submitted what the assignment of compulsory learner. Please focus on what defaulter assignment also. Those who are in defaulter list, you need to submit the assignment also. So please focus on that and try to complete your assignment so that you will not be overburdened while your submission. If you have doubt, we have 2 more minutes. You can please ask. So if you don't have any doubt, we can end up the session. समझ में आ रहा है क्या आप सब लोगों को, dear students? या टफ जा रहा है आप लोगों को ये वाला चैप्टर? जब भी ये यूनिट स्टार्ट होता है ना, आप सभी लोगों को ऑनलाइन ट्रांजेक्शन जो होते हैं उसके बारे में सोचना चाहिए. यानी ऑनलाइन बैंकिंग आप लोग करते हैं ना, उसको सामने यदि आप ले आओगे तो आपको ये इजी जाएगा जो भी हम लोग डिस्कशन करते हैं. ओके, our next area of discussion will be what recovery and atomicity, that will start from what tomorrow. Yes, Jayashri, समझ में आ रहा है सब लोगों को? यस नो कुछ तो बोलो, समझ में आएगा मुझे.
यस सर.
यस सर.
फाइन. ऐसा कोई है क्या जिसको कुछ भी नहीं समझ में आ रहा है? I hope you are studying with me simultaneously so that the things will or the doubts will be there. You can anytime ask me what doubts or put your doubts on what the Google Classroom. Be active on Google Classroom. Okay. Chalo then. If you don't have any doubt, we can end up the today's meeting. Thank you. Bye bye.